Thank you, Jack. You know what I think is cool about that and our next speaker is that the point was made that energy committees are the tambourine, right? Spreading the word and really helping their neighbors learn about things. But I think that example shows that your work goes beyond just being the tambourine. That's an example, and Norm Levy is about to share another example where an energy committee is actually building something and engaging their neighbors, really moving beyond just being a spokesperson, but actually constructing something that's helping save energy and save money in their communities. So with that, let me bring up Norm Levy to share his great work.
So I am going to use these slides. So I think I win the award for the clunkiest title. My title is Private Nonprofit Collaboration in the Provision of Solar Energy to Moderate Income Homeowners, or as I like it, Norm builds a community solar array. So clever short title now of who and why. So I am Norm Levy. I'm a retired DHMC physician who joined the Norwich Energy Committee in 2014. My personal interest on that committee was finding ways to extend the benefits of energy efficiency and clean energy to the lower income members of our community. So we started out by purchasing LED bulbs and smart electrical strips in bulk and distributing them to regional nonprofit organizations that service low-income Vermonters. We did this at no cost to these people, and they distribute them to their lower-income customers, if you will. We then expanded the program through small grants and donations to include subsidizing weatherization audits through a program with NeighborWorks and Twin Pines Housing. So I was very impressed when Sun Common created their community solar model, because now Vermonters of all incomes could access renewable energy at a discount with no upfront costs. And I was disappointed when they ceased expanding that program and ceased taking on new accounts, although they still maintain a program for thousands of Vermonters. So that provoked me to learn how the Sun Common community model was actually financed. And what I learned, it told me that at my financial level, properly scaled, I could emulate the Sun Common model and provide renewable energy at a discounted rate at no cost to members of my local community, but I couldn't do that on my own. So hence the private nonprofit collaboration aspect of the project. So the private side of it is myself as the investor and owner, created Norm and Son LLC. That's why I did it, just to create that LLC. And the other member was Norwich Solar Technologies, who were the builders of the array, but were also critical in first explaining to me how I construct this project, and then helping me explain it to the other members of the collaboration so that we can move forward. So the primary nonprofit component is Twin Pines Housing. They're the primary source of affordable housing in the Upper Valley. They were the builder of the Star Lake Affordable Housing Complex, 14 homes located in Norwich. They were the owner of an adjacent, approximately 1 acre parcel of land that was ideally sited and sized to build an array that could provide electricity to the Star Lake homeowners. They were also our access to those homeowners. And the homeowners, of course, were the final target of the effort. So ultimately, after a few months of discussion where everybody had to become comfortable with how this would work, we built a 45 kilowatt AC, 65 kilowatt DC array. It provides electricity to the 14 homeowners in Star Lake. We had sufficient extra production, so we're providing it to an adjacent homeowner and also to cover home repair, a nonprofit in White River Junction. We're providing the electricity at a 25% reduction versus Green Mountain Power. So ultimately, nonprofit is the Twin Pines, private is myself, and the developer is Norwich Technologies. So, last slide, hopefully getting, once again, I'm going to run over, but she was short. So, why did I think I, a retired doc who has never owned a business, was risk averse, and really hasn't juggled debt since I was dealing with student loans. And I decided I could because I learned about the very generous subsidies that were inserted in tax laws in 1992 to encourage private investment in renewable energy at a time where private investors were not interested because it was perceived as unproven, expensive, and therefore risky. So to overcome that resistance, the inducements to investment were very generous. And packaging all of them together, they typically result in, for a solar array like Sun Commons, you typically get all of your initial investment back in 5 years, own a renewable energy asset that generates income as well as electricity for decades to come. So, because my concern, I'm going to go over, because my concern was more environmental and social than maximizing my return on investment, I realized that extending that 5-year break-even point to 7 years, I could offer a 25% reduction in the cost of electricity. I could still provide clean energy, and after all is said and done, I get all my money back. And so, with the return of that money in 7 years, I intend to do it all over again. So ultimately, even though I'm a businessman, I see this as charity on steroids. So the other reason I'm telling this story is I want to let you know that these types of arrangements exist, and people of similar needs and ideals are not going to hear about it from the investment community. It's just off their radar. So I'm telling you, and hopefully you can tell members in your communities that may have similar means and similar ideals, that this exists. And finally, the last reason I'm telling you is that some solar developers, like Norwich Technologies, have embraced this local impact investor model and are facilitating it. And they're doing it in 2 ways. One, sorry, I'm clicking. One is that they're serving as matchmaker between a potential investor and a nonprofit partner. And the other way they're doing it is allowing the purchase of a part of a larger array by an investor who still retains all those benefits that they can share with their target populations and nonprofit partners. So ultimately, they're facilitating it and essentially removing a lot of the steps that I had to go through in terms of land acquisition and describing a process to a naive population. So, apologize, but finally I want to end with telling you that being a private owner does have its responsibilities. So here I am having to rewind the array after 2 days of cloudy weather. All right, thank you. I apologize.